Pay attention to this security camera footage carefully. April 18th, 2016, 3:50 a.m., Creekside Church of Christ in Midlothian, Texas. The church is completely empty, dark, silent. The interior surveillance cameras are recording on motion activation. Then movement triggers the system. A figure appears in the hallway, walking slowly, methodically. The person is dressed head to toe in what looks like police tactical gear. Black helmet with a visor covering the entire face. Heavy vest, knee pads, elbow pads, gloves. The figure walks with a distinct gait, almost a waddle, slightly hunched, moving down the corridor, opening doors one by one, checking rooms. In one room, the figure picks up a hammer and smashes a small window. Glass shatters. No urgency, no panic. Just calm, deliberate destruction. The figure continues walking, opens another door, peers inside, moves on. For nearly 25 minutes, this person wanders through the church, breaking small items, opening cabinets, looking around. The cameras capture everything. The figure never looks directly at the cameras, never tries to disable them. Just continues this strange, unhurried patrol through the building. At 4:18 a.m., another vehicle pulls into the parking lot. A woman arrives alone. She parks, gets out, carries equipment toward the entrance. She has no idea that someone is already inside, waiting, wandering. Within minutes of her entering that church, she will be dead, killed in a violent attack that appears to have no clear motive, no witnesses. And despite having this surveillance footage showing the suspected killer walking through the building, law enforcement has never identified who this person is. The case remains unsolved. This is the story of Melissa Barrett, a fitness instructor, a mother of 3, a woman who walked into a church alone in the early morning hours and never walked out alive. And the most disturbing part, we can watch the killer preparing, but we still don't know who they are or why they were there. Before we go any further, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. If you believe unsolved cases deserve attention until justice is served, hit that subscribe button. Cases like Missy's need people who won't forget. Don't let her story fade into silence. Her name was Melissa Barrett. Everyone called her Missy, of 45 years old. Married to Brandon Barrett for nearly 20 years. Mother to 3 daughters. Lived in Midlothian, Texas, a small city about 30 miles southwest of Dallas. Population around 20,000. The kind of place where people know their neighbors, where crime is relatively rare, where a church should be the safest place you could be. Missy was a fitness instructor. She taught early morning boot camp classes through a program called Peak Performance Fitness. High-intensity workouts, outdoor training, team exercises. She'd been teaching these classes for about a year and absolutely loved it. Her students loved her too. She was energetic, motivating, the kind of instructor who made you want to push harder, who remembered everyone's names, who celebrated every small victory. Missy usually held her classes outdoors at a local park or school campus. But in April 2016, Texas weather was unpredictable. Rain forecasted for the morning of April 18th. So Missy made arrangements to move her 5 a.m. class indoors. Creekside Church of Christ had offered to let fitness instructors use their facility during bad weather. It was a generous arrangement. The church had plenty of space, large multi-purpose rooms, and it was empty that early in the morning, perfect for a workout class. Missy confirmed the location change with her students via social media the night before, posted on the class Facebook page around 8 p.m. on April 17th. Hey everyone, due to weather, we're moving inside tomorrow morning. Meet at Creekside Church of Christ at 5 a.m. Bring your gear and be ready to work, several students commented. All confirmed they'd be there. Everything seemed normal. Routine. April 18th, 2016. 4:20 a.m. Missy woke up. Her husband Brandon was out of town on a fishing trip in Mississippi with friends. Had been gone since Friday. The girls were asleep in their rooms. Missy got dressed quietly. Workout clothes, tennis shoes, pulled her hair back, grabbed her training equipment. Resistance bands, cones, a clipboard with the day's workout plan. She loaded everything into her truck and left the house at approximately 4:15 a.m. The church was only about a 10-minute drive from her home. She'd been there before for other classes, knew the layout, had a key to get in through the main entrance. What Missy didn't know was that at 3:50 a.m., 28 minutes before she arrived, someone else had already broken into the church through a different entrance. And the security cameras had captured everything. The figure first appeared on camera at 3:50 a.m., walking through the north hallway near the children's ministry area. The person was wearing full tactical gear, the kind of outfit you'd see on a SWAT team member or riot police. Black helmet with face shield, heavy protective vest, tactical pants with cargo pockets, knee pads, elbow pads, black gloves, holding what appeared to be a hammer or similar tool. The cameras tracked this person for the next 25 minutes as they moved through the church, opening doors, looking into classrooms, breaking glass on small windows and cabinets, prying open locked doors. The movements were slow, methodical. There was no sense of urgency, no frantic searching, just a calm, almost casual walk through the building. Old investigators would later describe the person's gait as distinctive, a noticeable waddle, slight outward turn of the feet, hunched posture. The tactical gear made it impossible to determine gender, age, or even accurate height and weight. The helmet completely obscured the face, but the walk, that specific way of moving, that was something investigators hoped would eventually lead to identification. At 4:18 a.m., Missy's truck pulled into the church parking lot. The exterior camera captured her arrival. She parked near the main entrance, got out, gathered her equipment from the back seat, walked toward the doors. She used her key to unlock the entrance and stepped inside. The interior cameras show her entering through the main foyer. She's carrying her gear, walking confidently. She knows exactly where she's going, heading toward the room she'd reserved for the class. But somewhere in that building, the person in tactical gear is still there, still wandering, still waiting. At 4:20 a.m., Missy sent a final message to one of her students, a quick text confirming the location. "We're all set at the church. See you at 5. That was the last communication anyone received from her. What happened in the next few minutes is unknown. There's no camera footage of the actual attack, no audio, no witnesses. But at some point between 4:20 a.m. and 5 a.m., Missy encountered the person in tactical gear, and that encounter turned violent. The first student to arrive for the 5 a.m. class found Missy's body. The student pulled into the parking lot at 4:58 a.m., noticed Missy's truck already there, walked inside calling her name, found her in one of the hallways, or lying on the floor, not moving. The student immediately called 911. Police and paramedics arrived within minutes. But it was too late. Missy had suffered multiple puncture wounds to her head and chest. The medical examiner would later determine she'd been attacked with a hammer-like tool, the same type of tool the person on the surveillance footage had been carrying while walking through the church. She had fought back. There were defensive wounds on her hands and arms. But the attack was overwhelming, brutal. She died at the scene. If you've watched to this extent, comment "I'm still here." Let's see who's really paying attention. Police immediately secured the church and began reviewing the security footage. That's when they discovered the figure in tactical gear. The cameras had captured this person arriving at 3:50 a.m., breaking in through a side door near the kitchen area, spending 25 minutes walking through the building, and then the footage showed Missy arriving at 4:18 a.m. After that, the cameras in the specific hallway where she was found had been disabled or weren't positioned to capture that area. But investigators knew. The person on that footage was almost certainly Missy's killer. Within hours, police released portions of the surveillance video to the public. The images were haunting. This figure dressed like law enforcement, moving through a church, breaking things, waiting. The footage went viral. National news picked it up. Everyone wanted to know who this person was. But despite the video being seen by millions of people, despite hundreds of tips coming in, despite extensive investigation, no one has ever been positively identified. The tactical gear made identification nearly impossible. The helmet covered the entire head and face. The vest and padding disguised body shape. The gloves hid hands. But investigators focused on that distinctive walk, the gait, the waddle. They brought in specialists to analyze the movement. Some suggested the person might have an injury. Others thought it could be someone deliberately altering their walk to avoid identification. Height estimates ranged from 5'2" to 5'8", depending on which expert you asked. Weight estimates varied just as much. Gender remained uncertain. Some analysts said the build and walk suggested female. Others argued male. The tactical gear itself provided few clues. It was standard equipment available for purchase online or at tactical supply stores. Not custom, not traceable. If you're still here, comment "Justice for Missy." Let's make sure this case isn't forgotten. Police investigated multiple theories. Was this a targeted attack? Did someone specifically want Missy dead? Or was this a random encounter? A burglary gone wrong? The targeted theory seemed most likely at first. The timing was too perfect. The person arrived at the church 28 minutes before Missy, as if they knew she'd be coming, as if they were waiting. Investigators looked into Missy's life, her marriage, her finances, her social circle. They found some tension in her personal life. Messages on her phone and social media suggesting complicated relationships, but nothing that clearly pointed to murder. They investigated her husband Brandon thoroughly. He was out of town on a fishing trip with documented alibis. Friends confirmed his whereabouts. Phone records and receipts backed it up. He was cleared. They looked at students from her fitness classes, anyone who might have had an issue with her, anyone who knew she'd be at the church that morning. Remember, she'd posted the location change publicly on Facebook the night before. Anyone following that page would have known exactly where she'd be and when. Investigators examined the tactical gear angle. Could this be someone in law enforcement? Someone with access to that type of equipment? That was a deeply uncomfortable theory, but one they had to consider. They looked at local officers, security personnel, military members in the area, found no solid connections. The case generated thousands of tips. People calling in saying the walk looked like someone they knew. The build resembled a neighbor. The height matched a co-worker. Every tip was investigated. Alibis checked. Nothing panned out. In 2017, police released additional footage, clearer images of the suspect's walk, slow-motion analysis. They created a demonstration video showing the distinctive gait from multiple angles, asked the public to focus on the movement rather than the gear. Still nothing concrete. Forensic evidence from the scene was limited. The killer wore gloves, no fingerprints, no DNA that could be definitively linked to anyone. The tactical gear likely prevented any transfer evidence. The weapon was never recovered. Assumed to be the hammer seen in the footage, but never found. To this day, more than 8 years later, the case remains unsolved. No arrests, no charges, no identified suspect. The surveillance footage that everyone thought would solve this case has instead become one of the most frustrating pieces of evidence in modern true crime. We can see the killer. We can watch them move. We can see their deliberate preparation, but we can't identify them. Missy's family has never stopped fighting for answers. They've offered rewards, done interviews, pushed investigators to keep working. Her 3 daughters grew up without their mother. Her husband had to bury his wife without knowing who killed her or why. The community of Midlothian was shaken. If someone could be murdered in a church, in the early morning, in what should have been a safe place, then nowhere was truly safe. Here's what makes this case so deeply disturbing. The footage suggests this wasn't random panic. This wasn't someone who broke in, got surprised by Missy's arrival, and reacted violently in the moment. This person spent 25 minutes in that church before she arrived, breaking things, opening doors, moving methodically through the building. Were they waiting specifically for Missy? Did they know she'd posted about being there? Or were they planning something else entirely and she walked in at the worst possible moment? We may never know. The case is still technically open, still being investigated. But with each passing year, the likelihood of solving it decreases. Memories fade, evidence degrades, people move away, potential witnesses forget details. So here's my question for you. Look at that footage. Think about that distinctive walk, that specific gait. Could you recognize someone you know just by the way they move? Even if their face was completely hidden? Even if their body was disguised? Because that's what this case comes down to. Somewhere, someone knows who this is. Someone recognizes that walk, that movement, that build. Maybe it's a family member who's protecting them. Maybe it's a friend who suspects but doesn't want to believe it. Maybe it's someone who saw the footage and felt that flicker of recognition but talked themselves out of it. If you believe cases like this deserve to stay in the public eye until they're solved, hit that like button. If you think someone out there knows who this is and needs to come forward, share this video. And if you want justice for Missy and her family, comment, "Everyone deserves answers." What's your theory? Was this targeted or random? Does that walk look familiar to anyone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This case needs fresh eyes, new perspectives. Someone watching this video right now might have the piece of information that breaks this case open. Next week, we're covering another surveillance camera case, but this one ends very differently. If you believe in keeping unsolved cases alive, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because cases like Missy's don't solve themselves. They need people who care, people who remember, people who refuse to let these stories disappear. Melissa Barrett walked into Creekside Church alone on April 18th, 2016. She never walked out. Somewhere on those surveillance cameras is the person who killed her. We just need to figure out who they are. Justice may be delayed, but it doesn't have to be denied forever.